All right, let's dive right in. We are in the middle of one of the biggest, most fundamental shifts in technology and the economy that we've seen in a generation. AI is being completely rewired from the ground up. And in this explainer, we're going to break down what that means for businesses, for anyone who builds things, and honestly, for you. So let's get into it. To really get your head around the scale of what's happening, let's just start with this number, $650 billion. That's how much is being spent on AI capital expenditure every single year. I mean, that's not just a big number, it's a wild 2% of the entire global GDP. This isn't just a trend anymore, folks. It's a full-blown infrastructure supercycle.
And all that money, all that capital, it's flowing into one central idea, what we're calling the agentic pivot. And this is the key. We are moving away from AI as a passive tool that you have to command, like a chatbot you ask questions, to an autonomous worker that you direct. It's the difference between asking your assistant to write an email for you and telling them, go and hit this sales target. See the difference?
So, how is this actually playing out in the real world? Well, let's take a look at how major companies are making this exact pivot, literally rewiring their entire operations for this new era of autonomous AI. This chart right here tells such a powerful story. See that dotted gray line? That represents companies who are just, exploring generative AI. Notice how it's absolutely plummeting. But at the same time, the blue and red lines, those are the companies actively redesigning their core processes and deploying real operational agents. They're just surging upwards. The takeaway? We're way past the playing around phase. This is full-on adoption. And this isn't some distant, far-off future we're talking about. We've already hit the tipping point. Over half of all big companies now make up what the research is calling an agentic middle class. They've moved beyond just experimenting and are now weaving autonomous AI right into the core fabric of their business. Because of that shift, the problems have completely changed. A couple of years ago, the biggest hurdle was just getting people on board, right? Cultural resistance. But look at where we're headed. That problem has basically faded away. The new mountains to climb are all technical. How do we make all these different AI agents actually work together? And maybe most importantly, how do we prove they're actually making or saving the company money? This quote from the research it absolutely nails it. The game has changed. The goal isn't just about small productivity bumps anymore. It's not about writing emails a little bit faster. It's about achieving full autonomy, handing over entire workflows and decision-making processes to the AI. And that right there has a massive economic impact. So as these huge companies pivot, they're creating this economic shockwave that changes the rules for everybody else. Let's look at the single biggest effect, the absolutely collapsing cost of creating something new. Okay, this table lays out the new reality perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way. You hire a dev agency. Costs you tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it takes months if you're lucky. Now look all the way to the right. That's the new way, using an AI app builder. The cost? Maybe a monthly subscription. And the timeline? We're talking minutes or days. Let's just boil that down to its most shocking takeaway. What used to have a $50,000 starting price tag can now be done for less than a streaming subscription. That isn't just a small change. That's a complete economic reset. And a huge reason this is happening is that the cost of the AI brains themselves is just plummeting. Look at the cost per million tokens. You can just think of that as the cost for the AI to process a chunk of text. A newer model like DeepSeek is more than 20 times cheaper than a cutting-edge model like the one projected for GPT-5. This makes adding incredible AI features to an app just ridiculously affordable. So the critical point is this. That massive financial barrier to entry, that huge wall that stopped so many people from even trying to build their idea, well, it's been effectively demolished. It's gone. And look, this isn't just some theory. The tools that are making this revolution happen are shipping right now. Let's look at some of the mind-blowing stuff that came out in just the last week that's pouring gasoline on this fire. First up, the big one. OpenAI recently showed off a new capability that really does change everything. It's a feature called native computer use. And for the first time ever, a mainstream AI model can operate a computer just like you and me. It can see the screen, move the mouse, click on buttons, type into spreadsheets. This means the AI isn't just processing text anymore. It can now do the actual work. And it's not just OpenAI. This week, we also saw a new Windows app for coding agents that can run for 30 minutes straight. Anthropic launched a whole marketplace for business tools. ChatGPT is now baked right into Excel. And get this, globally, AI now writes 41% of all code. The pace it's just breathtaking.
But with all this rapid progress, you start to see new tensions. In a really surprising move, one of the biggest names in AI actually found itself in the crosshairs of the Pentagon.
Yeah, the Department of Defense designated Anthropic, an American company, a national security supply chain risk. So why? Because the company refused to let its AI be used for just anything, specifically saying no to mass domestic surveillance and autonomous lethal weapons. It's a really fascinating sign of the ethical lines being drawn in this new AI-powered world. So, what does all of this, the big corporate pivot, the cost collapsing, these incredible new tools, what does it all mean for you? Let's break down a new playbook for how to navigate this new reality. Here's a pretty simple framework to use. When should you still hire a human developer? Well, if you're in a heavily regulated space like finance or healthcare, if you're building for millions and millions of users, or if you have to connect to some ancient corporate system. But for almost everyone else, use an AI builder. Especially if you just want to test an idea, if you're not a coder yourself, or if your budget is under $5,000. Ultimately, when you zoom out, what we're all witnessing is a total reset of the two fundamental barriers that have always stood in the way of creation. The cost to build something and the technical skill required to build it both have been driven down to basically zero. And that leaves all of us with a final, really powerful question. The financial gate is gone, the technical gate is gone. The tools are here, and they are more capable than ever. So, what problem will you solve?